Hello, welcome to Hedgebrook's Cottage Chat. I have the great honor of hosting these joyous conversations and amplifying the brilliant minds of our ever growing alumni community. This is our final Cottage Chat for the spring and in celebration of our 35th year. And so I am thrilled to be joined by Crystal Wilkinson and Nicole Shawan Jr. Nicole Shawan Jr. was born and bred in the bass heavy beat and scratch of Brooklyn, where the cool of inner city life barely survived crack cocaine's burn. They are a counter storyteller, community creator, and felon. Nicole's writing is anthologized in The Sentences That Create Us, Crafting a Writer's Life in Prison, Haymarket 2022. And Emerge, a Lambda literary anthology, Lambda Literary 2020, and appears in Oprah Daily, Teachers and Writers magazines, Guernica, The Rumpus, The Feminist Wire, Zora, and many more. Nicole not only works to destigmatize and remove the shame from what it is to be a felon, but they also put pen to paper to capture the journeys of around the block Black girls. They also are one of the most joyous humans that I know, and I love to laugh with Nicole. Crystal Wilkinson is a treasure, y'all. A treasure. Listen to this. The national award winning author of Perfect Black, winner of a 2022 NAACP Image Award. The Birds of Opulence, winner of the 2016 Ernest J. Gaines Prize for Literary Excellence. Water Street, and Blackberries. Nominated for both the Orange Prize and the Hurston Wright Legacy Award, she has received recognition from Yaddo, Hedgebrook, the Mary Anderson Center for the Arts, the Fine Arts Work Center in Provincetown, and is a recipient of the Chafin Award for Appalachian Literature. Her short stories, poems, and essays have appeared in numerous journals and anthologies, including most recently, just real quick, The Atlantic, Kenyon Review, Oxford American, Story, and Agni. Crystal identifies as a Southern feminist fiction writer and grew up in the hills of Kentucky. She is a 2020 USA Artist Fellowship recipient. What I'm saying is it keeps going, y'all. It keeps going, it keeps giving. A 2021 O. Henry Prize winner, and makes her home in Lexington, Kentucky, where, by the way, she's a poet laureate. Yeah, her culinary memoir, y'all, Praise Songs for the Kitchen Ghosts, is forthcoming on Clarkson Potter Penguin Random House in 2023. These some bad mama jammas, y'all. We gonna have a good time. My name is Amber Flame, and I'm the program director for Hedgebrook, as well as an alumna of the Writer in Residence program. I'm so thrilled to be your host of this conversation, which is streaming live Thursday, May 18th, 2022. Hey, there you are. Welcome, Nicole and Crystal. I meant to add with the whole thing, as Nicole said upon meeting Crystal, I know who you are. You better hear about me. Oh my God, I am so honored to have you both with me today. I feel joy already. Look at these smiles. It's good shit. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us,
Crystal!
Come on.
Hey, I miss you so much.
I miss you big, family. I miss you so big. It's so good to see your beautiful, radiant face with this red, beautiful popping lip. It's just, I wish I was there so I can like hug you and just put hands on you and get your hands on me.
I know. I said it on social media, and I say it to everybody, like immediate family connection.
Immediate.
As soon as we met. So it was serendipitous that Hedgebrook put our cabins close by together, our cottages close by together.
I shall.
Listen, the minute I met you all, I thought you already knew each other because you were talking like people who were like, oh, we're reconnecting after a long time. Like it felt so automatic. And like, I mean, Nicole has gone on to be like, but Crystal though, like, you must not know about her though. Like it is a deep honor. You listen.
Well, listen, I'll tell you, like, that's what you were just saying, Flame. Like, that's actually how I felt when I first saw Crystal in the flesh. We were obviously at Hedgebrook, and Crystal, I don't know if you remember this, you were sitting by the fire pit situation. And I had come around that bend. There's like some bushes and shit. That what's the language parameters on it?
It's whatever we want, baby. Like it and love it, y'all.
Okay, I'll try to keep it respectful. But I came around a bend and I saw you had your signature popping vibrant colors on. You had your signature fly glasses on, and I pull up and you were getting ready to introduce yourself, and I couldn't even contain myself. I was like, "What now?" Like, I know who you are. Like, stop. and the reason why, like, I wanted to repeat that story just now, Flame, is because of what you just said. It's like the people that were sitting around the fire pit with Crystal, the people that we would spend the next 2 weeks with. Crystal and I were there at Hedgebrook for a month, but they were only going to be there for 2 weeks. I needed for them too to know that no, you right now are sitting around this fire pit with greatness. And you need to honor that and know that for not only for the remainder of your tenure here, but like onward. Do you know what I'm saying? Like beyond this place. That wasn't necessarily like in my mind at that moment. In that moment, I was just like, no, come on. I know who you are. Stop it. But later on, in thinking about it in hindsight, I'm like, yes, they needed to know who Crystal was. If they hadn't already known, they probably did know. They should have known if they didn't. But definitely, I wanted them to walk away knowing the magnitude of the honor it is to be at Hedgebrook, particularly because Crystal Wilkinson was there with us.
Girl, stop it. That fills me up in all kind of ways, because many times we know in our various communities, in our community, who the folks are, but not everybody knows. So that fills me up. And I think, even though I didn't know who you were exactly, like I had, of course, seen your name and read, but I felt like even deeper than just the work. Like I felt like this deep connection, familial connection to you, family, when you came around the corner. And I felt it. I mean, I think you helped me write for that month, like not in ways that we just shared over dinner, but the fact that I knew that I could see your cottage from my cottage.
Oh, sister
and
cottage.
even when I took my dance breaks and I'm dancing to Little Sims, and I'm like, hey, Nick, you couldn't even see me, but I was like, we doing it.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think I want to, the thing for me, Crystal, is that like, I looked you up because I was like, is this the person that I think it is coming? When I saw your name on the schedule, I was like, oh, is this the person I think it is? And what I know is that it's like, you got all these things popping now, but you've been in the game. Like, like, I'm saying, I wanted to celebrate with y'all. My book just came out, and this, I feel beat the fuck up. Like, this is hard. This is hard to do. It is hard to bring your work into the world. It is hard to believe in yourself when people aren't listening. And I think that's like, thank you, Nick. I think that's the thing that like, that I immediately felt from you was this like you're like, I'm not going, and I am telling you, like you were like, you've been in it. And now it's so rewarding to be able to give you your flowers and to see the recognition come. Like I was like, when I saw your new bio, I was like, I didn't even know all this was popping. I'm so glad, because I knew the old stuff. I knew that like you've been in the game. But like, let's talk Appalachian. Let's talk about ignored Southern feminists. Let's talk about ignored Black woman. Let's talk about ageism. Let's, like, come on. All of that. And so when you said backstage before we started, when you said that this summer was the summer of rest, I felt a flood of joy for you. A flood of joy. You absolutely deserve it, and rest on them laurels, because they're coming for you. They're coming for you. Manifest.
Yeah, y'all have said it's been working so hard for so long and not stopping, and I couldn't stop. It's not. I have never been a writer writing for fame. It's just in the blood, in the spirit, something that I've never stopped doing, no matter what. I didn't stop when my babies was little. You know, my
Mhm.
oldest baby is hitting 40 now. So I've been doing it for a long time. I used to carry them babies with me. They were trained when they were little to like, Mom will be happier if we let her get this hour in on this story she's writing.
I love it.
And they would knock on the door and, you know, and respect my space. So yeah, it's the same now. Long, you know, I still, and even if I didn't get published, I would still do it.
Hmm. It's a
I was
calling.
doing it when I didn't get published, was
Yeah.
still doing it those years in between.
Now I know Nick and I have talked about this sense of like I have to. Like there's that sense of like even if I didn't get published, like I would
Hmm.
have to write. This would be happening to me. This story is upon me. And I know some of Nick, I would love for you to jump in of like you're right in the process of this. This literally called you from a whole nother life, right? And like insisted upon itself. This whole story that you're having to tell, and you got other things in the works too. I know. So fill us in, baby. Fill us in on all the things that you're being called to do right now.
Yeah, thank you for the question. And also I'll say, Crystal, to circle back to something that you said, being with you for that month impacted my writing greatly. I don't think I had anticipated, because it doesn't always happen. We've been to numerous residencies and retreats and writing conferences, writing spaces, um, where you go, you learn something, maybe you walk away with a connection. Most
Mm,
often, you kind of don't. Um, you might meet a writer that you admire. Sometimes they're a friendly person. Sometimes at that moment when you met them, they were an asshole. So
Right.
I mean, that's just real talk. And so you leave with a different impression of them. Um, I didn't know what it was going to be after we had that initial
Hmm.
interaction with each other.
Hmm.
Right? I didn't really know. And I got to tell you, man, every day you and I would have our conversations, right? It would be, we sat with each other for dinner, or when we were walking down to the lagoon, and getting some nature in. And each day our conversation went deeper and deeper and deeper. And I got to spend a month with you and really got to like unload some shit onto you.
Hmm.
Um, and that, you held. And I was so thankful and still am so grateful for the support, like not only in terms of bringing me into your writing process and what you had going on for that day, because that really freed me up to give myself more grace about my writing process. But I'm talking about like personal, like heart to heart, spirit to spirit, like love filled and centered connection, of, I know this is happening in your personal life. Let me tell you a little bit from my wisdom and my experience, and take from it what you want and ignore the rest. And it just really, this was not your job and this shouldn't have been your labor, but I felt really nurtured by
Yeah.
you as a writer and as a spirit during that month. So I'm
Well,
glad.
and so much of that was your spirit too, because believe me, you know, I've been to Yaddo, I've been to all these places, and I don't leave those places with these strong connections. You know, like you said, I'm friendly. Other people might be friendly, and we chit chat and go on. And I feel like that our bond is such that, you know, I haven't talked to you. Maybe we've talked less than a handful of times since we left, but it's like I know we'll pick up wherever it is, whenever it is, right where we left off. Like it's not going to be any kind of awkwardness or anything because that's how our month went.
Ashe, Ashe. Yeah, consistently, like routinely every day. Um, yeah, so I'm just grateful for that. Thank you for giving the love back. But I really want you to know like just how impactful you were on my spirit throughout that month. And to your question, Flame, you know, Crystal, I don't know, you'll probably be a little surprised to hear this, or maybe not. I don't know. But the piece that I was working on when we were at Hedgebrook together, I'm
Mhm.
on the fifth draft of that full manuscript.
Mm.
So
Full manuscript.
Wow, yes.
and I'm so excited about it. I'm I'm ready to release it. I don't know. Like this is I got really shook about this. I need to talk to both of y'all about this. I got shook because I was like, oh shit, it's almost at that point where it can be released. And now the fear is there. I
Ah,
haven't felt any fear this entire process of writing it, of revising it a few times, but now I'm shook daddy. And so I would love to hear about how you're feeling, when you're at that moment of like, oh, I'm about to release this.
mhm.
Um, in my case, to get agented, but in any stage of releasing it, like how you all feel, and if you could both think back to like that first moment, because you both got books, right? This is my first. That first book that you put into the world, like how was that to actually, start that process of trying to get an agent? Am I bringing too much labor to this? But it would be helpful for me and maybe some folks who are listening too, because the fear is real.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think, and Amber, I'd love to hear what you think too. But I mean, I think for me, I had to let it go. I had to let blackberries go some 20 something years ago so that the next book would come,
Hmm.
because the next book wouldn't come as long as I held on to it. And I don't know, it was different for me because I always think of, because I've never worried. I mean, I'm with them now, but I'd never worried about being with the top 7 or the top 10. It was the top 15 back then, and then it was the top 10 and the top 7 or whatever. Like, I never really worried about that. I always thought I was pretty much a hippie, like with my writing in some ways. Like
Nice.
I thought, okay, the word public, the definition is to make public. So I enjoyed the process of sending the book out because it meant that somebody out in the world besides my small circle, and I'm old enough to remember the SASE days. So a self-addressed stamped envelope. So you put
Mhm.
all your stuff you printed out, put it in the
Yep.
paper, put it in the envelope, send it out. And it was something special about that. And I think it's the same thing when you press the button. Like, yeah, there's nerves, but there are people on the other side of that button that are reading it. And, and if they don't like it, it's not for them. And
Word.
so the pleasure is like, it's back again. Let me send it out again. So still find pleasure in that.
Yeah, I
Don't
think.
be scared. Don't be
Yeah,
scared.
don't be scared. First of all, you better send me this damn book already, because you did not just give me a prologue and be like, guess what happens. And I'm guessing too. I still be guessing. I'm still like, okay, come on now. So what has helped me, I think, in the release, because I also enjoy the actual process of thinking that people are listening and reading my stuff. It's really, really um rewarding because you do it in silence for the most part, right? So there's only so many times you can ask your friends to read a draft of your whole manuscript. And there's only so many friends you could ask.
Yep.
um but what has helped me in the releasing is to have already be started on the next thing. You have a trilogy, my friend, so like, not to ruin the surprise or nothing, but you have another book to be writing already. And this is like the job of this manuscript now is to go out, is to
Hmm.
find its way into the
Hmm.
world. Your job as a writer is to write the next book so that it's ready to follow. Um, and they're like, they are your children. Like, I spent 9 years birthing Apocrypha. Like, I started that before my mom died, before my first book. And to have it like, and it took a long time to find a home. It took a long time. So I had to relish the process of being like, but I know what I am doing here. Like, I know
Hmm.
this is ready to be out in the world, and it's going to find the home. It's going to find the people it's for.
Yeah,
Um,
the
and I
perfect
remind
home.
myself of this like right now. Like yesterday, I was like, it's going to find the people it's for, like, as I'm trying to sell it. You know what I mean? Like, it's the role right now, your job. That one, yeah, that pretty baby right there. That pretty baby
It's,
Apocrypha. It was
it's
out, Red Hand
beautiful.
Press, May 16th, just dropped. It's fresh, it's hot. Thank you, hype. Thank you, hype. Um, but yeah, your role right now is to actually be writing, my friend. Um, Resting
And
and
I think
writing.
that the business of it too is important, but you just make that a part of your writing day. Okay, I'm
Yeah,
going to do the business of it. And I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket. I would,
right.
pick a number or pick a few people like, okay, I'm gonna query these 3 agents
Hmm.
or these 5 agents or these 2, but more than one, and you put it out in the world. If you get a rejection, you're like, oh, now there's only 3. It's time for me to send it out to another person. So that's also, I think, makes your back a little bit straighter. Like, okay, I did these writerly things, and then you can spend the rest of the time working on book number 2.
Ashe.
Hmm.
Ashe.
Because we gonna want it.
Speaking of, first of all, thank y'all for the love, but also like speaking of the next book to come. Crystal, when we were at Hedgebrook together, you were working on this next book.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can we hear about like
Please.
what is the status of your culinary memoir? I'm hyped for
Oh,
it.
well, it's not, there's not a cover yet, so it's not like official, but you can find it on Penguin Random House's website. You can
Oh.
find it on Bookshop or Amazon to pre-order, even though there's not a cover yet. So um, we're in the last stages of proofing, and I'm about to have a meeting with the marketing team in a few weeks. So I am about to go on a month-long retreat this summer to work on the next book. So I'm
Oh,
letting
so
it
that
go
is.
in that way. Like, it was letting it go. I was working hard trying to meet those deadlines when we were at Hedgebrook. So I was like working hard to get that part done. And then you can get into I'll say the beautiful muck of the publishing and the editing and the redoing everything and putting everything in it, and the tears. It's a memoir, so the tears of it all,
Mm.
the personal part, and so I had to release it that way too. Like, okay, it's getting published. Like, let them do their job, and my job is to, like, yes, have my finger on the pulse of that, but also be thinking about what's next. Like,
Yes.
which of this list of things that I have to write am I going to choose next?
List.
How do your
And what
part?
about you, Amber? Like, your baby
List.
just set foot in the world. Do
Oh
you
my
have
goodness.
something ready, or
Well,
you
I just finished writing 13 songs for my band. We have an album that we
mm,
just finished recording. So, launching an album is next. And I got a micro grant to make my book in my Apocrypha, the story of Apocrypha, into a film. So,
oh,
over this next year, I'll be making it into a film. I already have another manuscript. The ghost formerly known as Prince and Other Hauntings is I've already
mm,
started submitting it. That's the like this is a year of launch. This is a year of put it out there, empty out, listen to Prince when he says die empty, like just let it put it out, let it go, as he
mm-hmm,
said. And I don't know what I'll write next. I don't know what I'll write next. I know that I'm gonna be singing a lot. I know that I'm gonna be in my joy with that music though, and
uh-huh,
I'm really excited about this album. My friend Kristen said she thinks that's where my poetic energy is going right now. That I'm like writing songs instead of poems right now, and it feels good. And I'm trying to get like you. I'm trying to get on some essays. Like I'm not even playing. I'm going to do what I can do
do
while
it,
I can do it. Right,
do it,
but
do it
also
all.
but also sleep. I'm getting in this
Yes,
caftan life. I'm gonna find me some cute glasses. I'm gonna do like you, Crystal. Give
do
me a
it. I
summer
think
rest.
that's where I am right now of what brings me joy. Like color. People always talking about my glasses, and it's like, I don't know. I hit a certain peak where I'm like, okay, I don't want to look like everybody else in any kind of way. And there's nothing wrong with looking like everybody else, but I don't want to look like everybody else.
Hmm.
And I don't want to just wear black all the time anymore.
Amen.
And I don't want to look just, straight laced all the time anymore.
Hmm.
So the color started coming in, and each year has been something else. There was the year of the glasses, and that's ongoing. was the year of the shoes, and that's ongoing. There was like patterns and bright colors,
Mm-hmm.
and this is at least the caftan summer. I don't know if I can get by with it going back to the academy as the
Might
associate
get a little
chair.
breezy. It might get a little breezy.
If I
Yeah, I
could, I
love it.
would.
Listen, Nicole knows all about that. My COVID project was jumpsuits, y'all. Like I
I know.
stocked
And when
up
we
on
were
them
there, you
jumpsuits.
had the
I
jumpsuits. You were
did. I
coming
did. I
with
Fierce
met you.
the
jumpsuits.
fits.
Fierce.
Yeah, it has to happen sometimes. I don't want to look like nobody else. I love that. That's
Yes.
real. And you don't. You have like also there's just fucking presence, right? When you got it, you got it. And I think that's what I loved about, like I said, I felt like you all knew each other already. It did not surprise me that you felt like kin to each other. And I've heard, not like we haven't in depth talked about Crystal, but every time your name comes up in any kind of way, or there's a post while we're together, or anything, Nicole is like Crystal, like so excited. And you know, Nicole's the greatest hype person, but like I want you to know that like the mad respect, the mirroring, feeling seen by you is it really means something. And I
Mm,
appreciate your generosity. Like I wanted to say that out loud in front of everybody. Like I appreciate your generosity of spirit because you held space at the residency, like Nicole was saying, like you were part of the radical hospitality, and that was not your job to do. And you didn't do it like labor. I hope it didn't feel like
not at
onerous
all.
labor and that you felt nourished. But like it was very clear that you were holding. I mean, when I came back and the earthworm situation happened, Nicole wasn't even coming out of the cottage, and you were like, "Don't worry, I got my boo. Like they'll be all right. We'll take care of them."
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
got them. Like we're
yeah.
gonna put down rocks. We're
we're,
gonna do
we're gonna
something.
find a
I'm
path
gonna get
that
you.
avoids the 3 foot long earthworms that
Yeah,
were
and
freaking
that's
you
what I
out.
did. I was like, let's
People,
go. I
people
was
are
like,
probably like, what are they talking about? Okay, so all right,
What
listen.
happened? Tell us what happened.
I'm born, you know me. Y'all both know me. I'm born and bred in Brooklyn. Understand Brooklyn, concrete jungle. I ain't really never been too many places, especially no places that got earthworms the length of my arm. B, there was a downpour. I'm not thinking nothing of it. The rain goes away. I leave my cabin. I'm right next to our cottage. I'm right next to Crystal's cottage. And usually, if we would meet along the path, we would walk and have to walk to dinner together. So I'm like walking. I don't see Crystal. I'm like, oh, she must be at the dinner situation. And something like caught my eye. It just something caught my eye. So I looked down. Oh, even thinking about it now, it was like hordes of mutant size earthworms. I'm not talking about the earthworm that's like this. Y'all, I can do it. I'm talking about like earth, like I ain't never seen nothing like this in my life before.
they were big. They
Hordes
were
of them
big.
slithering, snaking,
I'm not
walking on
slithering.
the path. I can see they were so big, I could see their mouths. I could see their poor mouths gasping for air because of all the rain that was on the ground. It was terrible. So, of course, I let out a scream. That's what else would you know when you're surrounded by these big earthworms? By the time, and I screamed like maybe for the whole walk down, which might have been like about 45, 60 seconds. And when I got down, Crystal was sitting in the dining room situation, and she was like, "That was you with the worms, wasn't it?" So after we got to go back up to the cottages. Crystal literally had to guide me by my arm, let me know step. Maybe we can go this way to be less
Yeah,
worms.
I forged a path. It's like we're gonna go this way. This is how we're going. Now you know she wasn't. She didn't say nothing about the owls. I don't know what that. Nothing about any of the other creatures, but the worms got her.
The
Got her.
coyotes, the frogs, none
Yes.
of that bothered you. You were
I
good
love
with
the
it.
frogs.
The frogs were great. Aren't the frogs great? And you all were in waterfall.
Oh, love
Yeah.
them.
Did it freak you out when they would suddenly stop?
Nah, I was
You
like,
like
okay,
that?
good night. Okay, I can dig it. Crystal was the only one of us that spotted the owl. I was like, of course you would spot the owl. Of course the owl would come to you, Crystal.
Where'd you see the
I told
owl?
you.
Right outside the cottage,
Nice.
in the pine trees that were right across from the cottage. I heard it first,
Yeah.
but then I saw it.
I mean, it was not stooping season. You gotta be glad for that. Small
Hmm.
favors for
Yeah.
sure.
Because
When I
moments,
was there, there were definitely multiple people got like stooped on by the owl because they are silent. They are fast and silent when they fly. But yes, I the only time I've seen an owl is I didn't see it swoop across the meadow right in front of me, but I like suddenly felt I was like I missed it because it was so fast. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? That was the first time. And then looking out a cottage window and I was like, that's an owl. And I was like, what?
They are beautiful. They're beautiful.
yeah.
And don't tell Nick, but the worms are kind of cool too.
It's the slugs for me. The slugs are what get me. Because they get slippery when you step on them. So,
Ooh,
yeah, it's not pleasant.
I
Mm-mm,
don't even
mm-mm.
know how she saw them all because I was like, we're gonna go this way. There's this path of
You
the
never
donors
saw.
with the names on it. We're gonna go across this little
You didn't
thing.
see hordes.
And
You didn't see hordes of earthworms.
I was like, they're not any over here. And she was like, yes, they are. There they are. And I was like, oh yeah, I see some now.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure. There they are. Oh my gosh, I love it. I mean, but the care was like, yeah, when you were like, I'll make sure that Nick has food and everything, but they're not coming out of the cottage
yeah.
today.
After that, I was like, I'm not leaving.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
tell
not
you what, when
happening.
it rains, I'm gonna be right here. I'm gonna make do with the food that I already have in this fridge because the food was abundant.
Oh, if I have to.
It was, it
I'm
was.
not
Yeah,
leaving this cottage.
yeah. I'm glad you finally were able to leave the cottage.
Yes.
Um,
I was trying to get a plan for you, Nick. I was like, I saw a golf cart. Now, if I have to
yep,
go
yep, yep. There were
commandeer
options.
the golf cart to
You
go
didn't
get
have to
them, I
step.
will.
Well, one thing I will say is honestly, despite the earthworms, that was just such a magical month.
It was.
Got so much work done. Felt so loved and cared for. I mean, all of the meals, just the heart and intentionality that went into
Mm.
Hmm.
everything. Yeah, that was such a pivotal moment for me. Crystal, I don't know what your thoughts are about it, but I feel like you feel the same way.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it was the entire thing, like working and working hard, but then taking the rest and the landscape sort of feeding that, like the both the lagoon and then we went on that walk like behind the cottages and
Mm.
out the landscaping and the very careful way the land is kept, and we walked down the path and went around and saw some of the landscape features
Yeah.
over by the pond. That was before the worms came out. We took our walk in the woods. But
Did you find the Cedar Deep, the the little offshoot path to the Cedar
hmm.
Circle?
Hmm.
Nice. That's one of my
Yes.
favorite moments. It gets so quiet in there. Um,
Yeah.
I, Crystal, you reminded me as you were talking about the landscaping. I had this image of you as a little girl
Mhm.
in the Appalachians. Like I don't know what I was reading. Was it an interview or something where you were talking about going around and maybe picking flowers or berries or visiting
Yeah.
neighbors' yards and porches. Like I can't remember what I was reading, but like in a dream, I had you as a child like getting sticky with berries, like essentially going
Oh yeah.
around.
Yeah. I mean, all of those things. And I think that that was one of the things that Hedgebrook and Abe, because I was writing a memoir and writing a memoir
Right.
about a lot of it about the nature where I grew up, in in Casey County in Appalachia. So being there at Hedgebrook while I was working, helped that because returning to the land in some way,
Mhm.
and walking through the woods and being able to hear the frogs, see those small bodies of water, all helped facilitate the work, because that was home. I remember coming in, and then they were like, "We're going to give you the lesson on how to build a fire." I was like, "I know how to build a fire. I'm a country girl. I got this." So I already knew how to do that, but I sort of appreciated that too. And there was something about that, even though after a while I was like, I'm not building no fire, but we had to build a fire. But there was something about it, like breaking up the day with the
Mm.
physicality of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a pace setter of its own, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember that feeling too because I was there in February and we were building. I was building fire, you know, and I was keeping that fire going, and
Hmm.
even just that of like putting on another log or moving it into centering your little embers right to put
Hmm.
on some more. Deciding when to stop putting on logs so you could go to dinner and it could die down safely, and just and at night like try to not make it too hot upstairs. All those like little considerations for yourself.
Hmm.
It helps me because I get real wild with my sleep and waking time. Like I'll flip a day in a second. I will be up until 5 a.m. and then sleep through the entire until the afternoon. And there's something there's something that feels really maybe haunted, I guess, about that when I do that.
Hmm.
It's very lonely. I think that's the thing. It invokes a loneliness because
Mhm.
you're there in only the quiet and you're missing sort of the chatter of the world
Mhm.
marking another day, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Mhm.
But at Hedgebrook, that was the thing. It's like, are you going to continue the fire? Are you going to go to bed? Are you
Mhm.
going to
Yeah,
continue the fire? Is it time to go to dinner? Those little pace setters.
yeah, yeah. And the routine of it, like, oh, it's time. It's time for
Hmm.
dinner. It's
Yeah,
time to go get some more wood.
yeah. Time to go to the bathhouse. It's my
Yeah,
scheduled time for my bath.
yeah, yeah.
How about you with the fire, Nick? Did you have trouble with the fire?
I didn't. I actually really I needed the tutorial,
Hmm.
right? 'Cause I hadn't had a fire building experience before and felt secure knowing that Crystal was next door if anything should go awry. But I caught the hang of it pretty quickly and I really enjoyed the fire. Between listening to the fire's crackle and listening to all the frogs and the rustle of the leaves and the breeze, and there was such a um sonic inspiration, I feel like, throughout every
Hmm.
that
Mm,
was
yeah.
really that was a blessing, particularly because you're in your cottage in solitude. And I wouldn't say I was lonely because I don't think I ever felt the entire month, even though I was spending the majority of the time in my cottage alone, I didn't ever feel lonely. I felt definitely
Mhm.
like I had solitude and it was appreciated. And I think one of the reasons why I didn't feel lonely is because of just all the sound,
Mhm.
Hmm.
texture of sound that was happening around and
Yeah.
within the cottage.
And those layers of community,
I
right?
should.
Mhm.
So there was community with the nature that was going on, and the
Mhm.
sounds and the crackling of the fire, and knowing that someone else was not only experiencing the sounds around the cottage, but also building a fire or making a choice not to build a fire,
Yeah.
at various places in those woods. But then there's the community of those of us that were there,
Yeah.
sort of the stayed community with me and Nick, and then the community that sort of came and went with the other people, and then there was a community of the people who'd been there in the past. In those,
Mhm.
I try to take some time each day to look in those journals
Yeah.
and see what people thought, and then it reminded you of how routine and how like beautifully wrote things were, because
Mm.
if you looked at the entries of people who had been there at the same time we were there were some of the same things, like they
Yeah.
were building a fire. They
Yes.
may or may not have heard the frogs or the birds or
They cut themselves some
seen the cow.
flowers, or
Hmm.
yeah, the wisteria was blooming or it wasn't.
Yeah.
Fall leaves. Yeah. Yeah. I think what I've learned, getting to have time now to return, not as a resident. I'm not bitter. It's fine. Um, but to get to spend a lot of time on the land, which is its own really a huge benefit and a gift, is how much the trees talk. The
Yeah.
trees, like, not only talk, but they like whisper things that y'all said. I swear, like our voices are up there too. And I think that is like, we talk a lot about the experience for the writers is magical, but magic takes work. And we know as magic people, we know about the labor of work. Um, that goes between like into manifesting any kind of space like that, any kind of care like that. But the magic piece for me, I think, is that like we've like bled and sweated and pissed. Like we've left our literal selves in this land now. You were there for a month. Like that's like a whole like lunar cycle, right? That's like a whole
Mhm.
a body cycle. Um, and I really am really just so aware of like the intentional leavings of people. And I feel like the trees whisper that story. And so I don't feel lonely anymore because I feel like I'm surrounded by y'all's voices, by my voice, by like my young self and like the greats who stayed in the cottage. Like Ursula Le Guin was in my cottage and a lizard used to visit Ursula and she journaled about it and drew a little picture. And those moments of like deep legacy lineage
Mhm.
connectivity that felt really that's like my a touchstone for me, a touchstone
Yeah.
for me.
I
Yeah.
think
The legacy of it, too, of women, the legacy of women with it, was just really um, amazing, and something that everybody knows about. Like when I came home, Nikki Finney's one of my best friends, and I was like,
Oh,
"Where?
wonderful.
Guess where?" I called her someone I was there, but I was like, "Guess where I've been?" Just like Hedgebrook. I've always wanted to go there, and just like the magic nature of the cottages, and the
Mm,
fact that it's uh, woman made
mm-hmm.
makes it unlike most
Anything
other
else?
places
Yeah,
in the country.
yeah.
I love
We need to talk about how Nikki Finney hasn't been to Hedgebrook, first of all, but we'll circle back to that offline. What? So, yeah.
I love what you said, Flame, about the magic of hearing the writers and residents' voices in
Mm,
the trees and in the air. And I remember we had this conversation, Crystal. I think it was with Piper and Nina when we were talking about maybe I think it was with them when we were talking about how Hedgebrook changes you,
Mm,
how
mm,
you've transformed, and we're not just talking about the art, but as like an embodied spirit, right? As a human, and
mhm,
I definitely left Hedgebrook transformed. And I think a lot of the courage behind that transformation is not only the courage, but like the inspiration, the seed um, that was planted to transform, to change, came from the trees, came
mm,
from the land. I definitely think that that was the medicine and the magic of the place was
mhm,
enabling me to lift the top, like I lift the top of my Maybach, like to get limitations off of
yeah.
my head, to really understand who I am as a spirit and understand my limitlessness and understand that, it didn't just have to be for the month that I got to feel good and fully embodied,
mhm,
rooted, right? I could leave that place and create that reality for myself.
mhm,
It gave me that seed, it gave me that motivation, and I actually did that.
mhm.
So yes, yes, yes to hearing the whisperings of former writers in residence, and as Carmen Machado said, she heard the screaming. There's a wailing woman in the woods, right?
Mhm,
There's a
uh-huh,
you know what I mean. But also there's the voice of the angels and the Agun and the spirit guides and all of the deities that are on the land saying, "Go further, go further."
mhm, mhm. I felt that, particularly with you too, because I know that there were times when you would come to dinner, and then um, there would be conversation, and then something would happen. You go, oh, you get up and move out, into the woods, going back to your cottage because something came to you that was urgent, that had to be put down
Mm,
on the page right then. And I felt that too. I don't think I moved as quickly as you did because I was like, okay, I'm gonna hold on to this till I get back. But I saw that sort of spirit move you, like,
Mm.
okay. And we talked about that a little bit about the reentry point
Ashe.
and and kind of the reminder to make space. Like that's what it's about. Like
Mm.
Hedgebrook gives you space, but you also have to be able to go back to your life with all of the interruptions and create and make space for your art, for the nurturing of your spirit, to pay homage to the spirits and the ancestors and the trees
Mm.
and nature. Like even now, and I'm sort of looking at my window, I live in a very like, I don't live in Brooklyn, but I live in the city now, and missing the country. Like it's interesting to think about that there are trees at Hedgebrook that know us. Like when we go back,
Mhm.
like they're like there are trees that know me in my hometown, in my home space, in my little rural community. But there are also trees and owls and worms that know us at Hedgebrook, like so many miles and miles and miles away.
Yeah, they know you. They remember you. Emma, I saw your comments. It is not invitation only. We actually have a application cycle that will be opening in July for the second half of 2024. So if you're looking for a residency from July through October of 2024, then you should look for the application in July. I think July 15th is when it drops. And I'm including the link in the comments for the Writer in Residence program so you can check it out. Please do apply. And you might have to apply multiple times. Some people get in when they didn't even like, they just like were like, I guess okay, I'm gonna apply last minute and shit. Some people apply for years and years. I'm just
Flame, you
saying,
are
I don't
so
know who is
petty.
who here,
I will
but
say this really quickly. I will say this really quickly. Spirit told me to apply, and I kept telling myself, no, 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 no.
mm,
I'm not gonna get in. I'm not a good enough writer. I
come
don't
on.
have the bylines. I don't have the background. I'm a felon. Um, Basically, every excuse that I came up with not to apply,
Mhm.
I could come up with not to apply. I came up with, and it wasn't until 2 hours before the deadline that I was like, "Yo, I have got to stop being the one to tell me no.
Come
Hmm.
on.
Let
Yes.
them tell me no. I've got to
Hmm.
stop being this person." And literally just started like trying to bang out an application. Um, uh, and yes, I was one of the people that got in the first time that they applied,
Sure.
right? The reason why I'm saying this is because I want to encourage everyone to apply.
Hmm.
I want to encourage everyone to stop telling yourself no.
Come on.
And I want to let you know, like, if I could do that, I firmly believe it was for me. I
Mm,
believe,
Absolutely.
honestly,
Absolutely.
spiritually, I believe it was for me.
yeah.
And so if it's for you, it's for you,
Yeah.
and it may be for you on the first time, and it may be for you on the
That's right.
fifth time or the sixth time,
Exactly.
but it's always about divine timing of when it's for you. You got to apply so that when it's for you, you're available for
Gotta
it.
be ready so you don't have to get
That's,
ready.
that's
That's
right. That's
period.
right.
Yeah.
And
You gotta
I
stop being
got in.
shady about that, Flame. You gotta stop
I
being
just
shady.
love it. I actually love it. I love it because it really is like you are absolutely right. I am glad that I'm one of the ones who had to apply over and over again so that I can encourage people who are applying over and over again. But I know multiple friends where I'm like, damn, like, and you have those moments. And I hope also though, Nick, that you are hearing what you need to just like the answer to that question you asked us earlier about like how do you get over the fear?
For
Well,
sure.
let them tell you no.
Right.
You got to stop being the one to tell yourself no
Yeah.
and let them tell you no. That's
That's
all.
right.
Crystal, what would you going to say?
Oh, I was saying that it just dawned on me, and I think I told you this, Nick, when we were there, that I actually got in Hedgebrook like decades ago.
Hmm.
Decades ago. And I had a breast cancer scare. Like one, I was afraid to leave my children because they were
Mm.
small. And I had a breast cancer scare, and I thought, I need to be home to hear this news. Like I don't want to hear it while I'm so
Oh,
far away from my babies. And so, I mean that we're talking decades. Like
Early on.
early on. And I never applied again. Like I never applied until this time. And I think that like you said, things are divine. Like it was meant for us to be there
I was
together,
just thinking
for
that,
us to
Crystal.
meet the people that we met. Yeah.
I was just thinking, I'm so glad you applied when you did. Because I'm so thankful to be in your orbit and to have you in mind. Honestly, I love you deeply,
Oh,
deeply.
same, the same, the same.
And I'm just here loving your loving each other. But I love Nick deeply, and I know Nick loves me
I
deeply.
love
And
you
we
deeply.
gonna get there, Crystal, because I'm gonna come see you, and we're
Okay,
gonna read
okay.
some beautiful love poems together. This is
Let's
my
do it.
dream. Just
Let's do it.
know, I was like, I gotta reconnect with Crystal because I would love to come south with this book tour, and I would love your voice on some of these
Well,
poems
let's
and to
do
like
it. Let's
be in
do it.
space together. Because what Nick says is you're amazing, and I know it to be true. I know
Yes,
it to be true.
yes.
Thank you both so much. There was so much joy in this conversation. I know how I'm feeding my joy. We're going to get some caftans. We're going to take a summer of rest. We're going to give
Mhm.
ourselves our flowers. We're going to let other people tell us no because we
Mm,
saying yes.
yes.
Ashe.
And we're going to remember community. We're going to remember that this is there. I'm honored to be even adjacent to y'all's relationship. I'm excited to see how you celebrate each other because you do. You are exactly what I think of when I think of like Hedgebrook's mission doing the real work. And I
Mm,
just want to thank you both. Thank you both for sharing this space with me.
thank you. Nick, bring it up one more time. That's right.
I love it. See, like I wasn't even looking for the hype, but this is what community does. Thank you, boo. Yes, Apocrypha out now by Amber Flame. I
That's
wrote
right.
it at Hedgebrook. It was the book I wrote at Hedgebrook. That's
And
right.
Flame, it's brilliant.
Thank you.
It is brilliant, and it makes you feel, and it makes you laugh, and it makes you feel pain and cry, and this is just brilliant. And then it makes you rejoice. It's just
Always joy.
woo!
There's always joy in the morning, even heartbreak.
Congratulations, family.
Thank
I'm
you.
so
Thank you.
proud to know you. I'm proud to have this book in the spine in my fingers right now, and I encourage everyone to gather this. It's just a beautiful poetry collection. Apocrypha. Can't wait
Wow.
to
I
drop this
love you guys.
memoir, which is actually on sale right now for pre-order. For pre-order right now, we got to cop that, Miss
Yeah.
Crystal
I dropped
Wilkinson.
it. Yeah, Crystal's a new praise song for the Kitchen Ghosts is on pre-order right now. No
I should.
cover yet, but the cover is coming and it's going to be hot, of course. Okay. So we're going to wrap this. I want to say thank you again to Nicole and Crystal for joining me. This has been, if you would like to revisit this conversation or share it with somebody, you can find the video on Hedgebrook's YouTube channel. And the audio version will be available soon, I promise, wherever you find podcasts. The series is presented free of charge for our community and is supported by donations from listeners like you. So if you want more of these, let me know by clicking up that viewer, by sharing it with people, sharing it on your own pages, and also by making a donation, maybe to Cedar Deep to honor the trees of Hedgebrook. We do hope that you'll join us for more programming, and you can find our calendar of events on our website. Thank you all for joining us. I have a little outro for you. Once again, thank you all for joining us today. Next up is our filmmaking showcase, in person and virtual through Northwest Film Forum, beginning tomorrow, Friday, May 19th. You can not only watch films written by our alumni, but hear them talk about process, creativity, and joy. Check it out on Northwest Film Forum's site and join us for the virtual or in person.